Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I have the pleasure and the honor to open the closing section. And as usual, I am closing the door of the conference, but this time I am supported by my friend, Professor Ezio Bussoletti, that will say some closing remark from the point of view of the co-organizer of the conference, the Ministry of Environment in Italy.
Good afternoon to everybody. I hope that you got some coffee so you're a little bit awake. As you see, I have started this meeting with Alessandro Mannoni and I've been asked to be back to the closure. This is a message which is very important. It's a political message. It's the Italian political message. Italy is strongly committed with Inspire. We strongly support this initiative. So we have been particularly happy and proud to have you here in Florence. On the other hand, it's clear that you too are very committed in Inspire, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But you and I and us, you are the clerks. You know Inspire, you know what's the meaning, you know which are the weaknesses and the strength of this structure, but still is our, more or less, I'd say, daily work. What we really need, on the contrary, is a political commitment. Political commitment that still is not as such as it should be. Very often we have, in such kind of organizations and events, a formal commitment of politicians who come, who play their role in the mess, and everything stops 5 minutes later or more or less. Actually, being committed in environment is something which is serious, and I must say that Europe is at the top in this strong commitment. But if we take, for example, the experience of every year United Nations meeting after Kyoto, this is the bad example in environmental commitment. 15 days, around 15,000 persons collected all together, planes to arrive, cars, an enormous consumption of energy, and enormous pollution. If you make a little calculation, in these 15 days, we have a consumption of energy, an amount of pollution which is the average yearly consumption and average pollution of a medium-sized country, which is the exact example against which we have to go ahead. We need to have our politicians with us, not only in specific events, but day by day, in actions, in real political actions, which are the result of our technical work. And I think that once again, really, Europe is well in front in this battle, much better than many other countries. If you allow me just to summarize what I have understood and identified of the results of Inspire, which is not definitely the truth, but it's at least my truth, what I have understood, but I think that Alessandro Mannoni will be more clear in his job. I think that we can say 4 major things. Inspire is making important progress, but we need a stronger effort to harmonize implementation of network services and achieve effects and sustainable interoperability. Besides, the entry barriers for most of the public administration are still too high. An example in positive is the GEOS brokering approach is able to complement Inspire to facilitate interoperability across disciplinary communities and domains, lowering these barriers. The second point is that open data is an important shift in data sharing and promises to create a revolution, but we need to understand which are the business models who are able to sustain such a change. Is really necessary to have only public money, or we have to expect or to ask or even to trigger private sector? Third point is Inspire is going to play an important role for Europe to underpin e-government and other digital revolutions. It's time to discuss Inspire interoperability with significant international programs. There are plenty. We have heard here GGIM, GEOS, and so on. From one hand. And on the other hand is also to understand its translation at a local level. And this is very important. And this is probably one of the major efforts that we need to do in the near future. The fourth point is this meeting, as one very fashionable friend saying, impact of Inspire starting become visible, this very beautiful guy who is in this picture that you have on your booklet. I've heard about him, but I haven't met yet. Several implementations have been developed. We have learned important lessons. Now we can really face maturity challenges and make Inspire a really successful story. This workshop started saying that the Green Renaissance is started. We all have the responsibility to render this Renaissance stronger, efficient, and assessed. Thank you very much for your attention.